woman noticed something strange while boarding the plane. This was supposed to be the only flight today, but there were only a few passengers in the huge cabin. Just as she sat down, the overhead light started flickering non-stop. The man next to her said it was normal, fastened her seatbelt, and heard a metal scraping sound above her. She quickly asked the man beside her if he heard it, but Lucas just looked confused. Yet the sound kept echoing. Suddenly a wave of unease came over her. She rushed into the bathroom, splashing cold water on her face, trying to calm herself down. Then she suddenly heard her mother's voice outside the door. She turned around and found the bathroom door had changed. Kate quickly pushed it open. She found herself back in her childhood home, but the earlier feeling felt so real. Kate returned to her seat and kissed her daughter. That real touch gave her some relief. Soon the plane started taxiing. After a smooth takeoff, Kate finally relaxed. Up front, a businessman was about to enjoy a drink. He turned and noticed the artist behind him seemed to be sketching him. He asked about it, but the artist had a bizarre expression, then suddenly blurted out,
"Pendulum that dies down."
The businessman thought he was acting crazy, so he just ignored him. Not long after, all the few passengers had fallen asleep. He quickly turned to check on her mom, but everything looked normal. Then she looked back at the mirror. It was still the same terrifying image. Little Kate started to suspect the woman in front of her wasn't her real mom. But just as the woman was clearing the dishes, Kate heard the metal scraping sound again, and then her mom's body began to twist and distort. We're all startled by Kate's strange actions. Then the man started convulsing uncontrollably. Lucas kept calling Kate's name, trying to snap her out of it, but Kate saw a black hand stretching out from the back row, followed by a horrifying face, and only when the man stopped shaking and died did the shadow finally vanish before Kate's eyes. Before anyone could react, the plane shook violently again. A flight attendant was thrown into the air, then slammed back down. Her mother was gone. Someone in the rear cabin seemed to be sick. She wanted to see if her mom was there, but then the plane started shaking violently, and there were murmuring voices from behind. When she turned to look, an old woman was chanting some kind of spell. Suddenly the old woman opened her eyes, and they had no pupils. Then the plane caught fire and started to dive. She ended up being the only survivor of that flight. Now Kate finally realized, even after 20 years, she pulled up her pants leg. There was supposed to be a lifelong scar there, but now it was mysteriously gone. Then she realized, with so much happening on the plane, the captain should have come out and said something, but he never showed up. Everything seemed to confirm her suspicions. Then her daughter turned and started whispering to someone behind her. Kate quickly asked who she was talking to. Her daughter said there was a little girl back there, but when Kate turned around, there were only empty seats. It was exactly like what happened when she was 7. Didn't see anything unusual. What they didn't expect was, in the overhead compartment, medical alcohol had spilled, and was dripping right next to the businessman's feet. The impatient businessman pulled out a cigarette. Kate rushed over to stop him, but it was too late. The alcohol instantly caught fire, and the man became a human torch. Inside the flames was the terrifying face of the old woman. Kate completely lost control. When she calmed down, the fire had already been put out. She heard that metal scraping sound again outside the door. Kate quickly looked through the peephole and saw the shadow again. Before she could react, she heard her daughter crying. Kate frantically searched around, but when she went to the bathroom, she heard that metal scraping sound again outside the door. Kate quickly looked through the peephole and saw the shadow again. Before she could react, she heard her daughter crying. Kate frantically searched around, but her daughter was nowhere in the house. Then everything in the room started flying around. When she turned her head, the shadow was back near the cockpit. Kate decided she wouldn't wait around any longer. She grabbed her daughter and tried to leave, but was stopped by a flight attendant. Seeing them looking toward the cockpit, Kate knew there was a secret there. Before she could say more, one flight attendant suddenly started throwing up water non-stop. Her daughter backed away in fear, which meant she saw it too. This was no illusion. Then the flight attendant's eyes turned white, and she collapsed. Kate forced herself to stay calm, used all her strength to break open the door, but behind the door was just another plane cabin. She opened one door after another, but behind each one was still more cabin. She seemed trapped in a loop she couldn't escape. She kept telling herself it was just a dream, but when she turned around, her daughter was gone. She called out her name, only to find her daughter sitting in the last row. It was all an illusion created by little Kate at age 7. When the crash was about to happen, the old woman behind little Kate didn't want her to witness death, so she cast a spell to put her to sleep. But little Kate kept trying to wake up. That was her unyielding will. So now the old woman decided to wake her up, to return her fate to her own hands. Used all her strength to drag her to seat 19. With Lucas's help, they made it. After putting on the oxygen masks, the plane dove into the river. Everyone else died. Only Kate and her mom in row 19 survived. The movie ends here.